My first guest tonight or today during this, of course, the pandemic talk show daily is a man who owns the Silver Room, which is one of the great Chicago small businesses. Also runs the Silver Room Block Party, which attracts, thousands and thousands of people to 53rd Street every single summer. Got the terrible news that it will be postponed and not be done this year. And it's going to be hopefully replaced and done the year after. But give it up, everybody, for Eric Williams. Yeah, look at that.
Hey,
how's it going, buddy?
Good to see you, man. Good to see you.
Good to see you. I like the backdrop. Where are you at right now?
At home, at my house.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is this the living room? Is this what is this? The downstairs? Where are you at?
The living room, got some art in the back, man. So, yeah. It's just chilling.
That's what everybody's tuning in for. They want to see Eric's living room, see what it looks like.
Cool.
All right. So first off, obviously, I've been kind of talking about it leading up to this. The Silver Room is considered a non-essential business, although I think you could do jewelry curbside. Me personally, I think you could. But then also the announcement came out last week that Silver Room block parties can be canceled. Tough. Two whammies right in a row there.
Yeah, man. We've been working on this since October, and I had a lot of people reach out and say, oh, it's too early to cancel. And people who don't do events don't understand the events just don't pop up like a week before the event happens. You got fundraising, you got booking people. And our event is, we have a lot of performers. I would argue more than most, even some of the bigger events, we have more performers. That's the nature of the event.
Right.
Last year we had about 100 performers. We have, 100 local vendors, and it's a lot, and just last year we had about 45,000 people, which was an issue when you don't have enough space. So I'm trying to figure out how to get more space. This is something I've funded, out of pocket for the most part, which is now I can't do anymore. So I was already trying to think about different ways to create more space, also to create ways to make this make sense financially. And then I had a couple ideas, and then here comes Corona, and everything stops. So no one's trying to fund you in the middle of a pandemic. How do you go to a sponsor and say, hey, can you give me $50,000? I know you lost, $200 million in market value, but I need some money for my little party in July. Then you have artists who are just uncertain. I have local vendors who we have who, we charge them a couple $100. They're not working right now. I have my daughter, if you just saw in the back, she's being homeschooled right now. The store's closed right now. I was like, what, this is kind of crazy. Like, I don't have to do this right now. We don't know what's going to happen, and is it going to be a month or 2 or 3? You've been hearing everything. And just for my personal health, my mental health, my emotional health, I just decided to just say, let me just put this on pause.
Yeah, right. You have to. There's no way that because that's usually happening in July, and it's so huge, and thousands and thousands of people. We could spend the rest of this Zoom just talking about how successful that block party has become, because frankly, before that time, it was the more traditional street festivals and things that you might see on 53rd Street and other, but this takes it to a whole new level. As being someone who's been there a couple times, you don't see anything like it. You might have your Lollapaloozas and your Pitchforks and other places, but this was taking the best of what a street festival was and taking the best of what Hyde Park can offer and kind of shoving it together, and it was magical.
Yeah. No, it's I'm definitely not happy about this. And last year we generated almost $3 million in revenue for the community. I said we have 100 vendors who make a lot of money, and that money they make, they use that moving forward for the rest of the summer. We make connections with all kind of folks. The hotels are packed. Just it's good vibes.
Yeah.
So. And Justin, you remember us from back in Wicker Park days.
Yeah, right.
And it's grown since then, and it just has a huge impact. The quantitative and the qualitative stories you hear, it just means a lot. But this year we're just not going to do it. So.
All right. Well, what does it mean for the business? Is it too early to say that, because you're seeing all this stuff about PPP loans and the idea of non-essential businesses getting bailed out? Are you applying for that? Are you anticipating getting money? Or you got to make a tough decision on your own business, the Silver Room in general?
Yeah, that's the other thing is too. I've been open for 22 years, so luckily we'll be okay. We have a supportive community and people like yourself and people who support the store. I have applied for some things, so hopefully something will come through in the next 7 to 10 days from what I'm understanding. They just re-upped it yesterday, so hopefully I'm in line for some of that. Luckily, my landlord is University of Chicago. In University of Chicago, they actually forgave my rent for April.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
So shout out to UFC.
Shout out to UFC.
And not just me, I'm pretty sure they did it for most of their tenants. I'm pretty sure they did. So yeah, so luckily I have a good landlord. But yeah, I mean, I have employees, you know, most of them are artists and makers. And not only did they lose the job they have for us, but their DJs, their photographers, they lost all their gigs, you know, and that's tough. That's really tough to know that this economy that was, you know, a gig economy for creatives that worked, people piece together money here and there, and it kind of worked, and now it doesn't work, and you don't know what's going to happen after this. So, and you know, and I think for me, it's the uncertainty. I've been on all kind of webinars and conferences, and you know, projections and forecasts about, you know, the next 6 months, and nobody knows, man. Like nobody knows. I don't, you know, I'm probably more of an optimist, and I think that, you know, human connection is important. You know, this is great, Justin. I love seeing you like now, but I'd rather, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
For me, my hope is and my wish is that once this is, you know, deemed to be safe to go back out, people will actually want to go out, support small businesses, and go to the restaurants, and you know, and have the money to do so. So I'm just, again, I feel like it. Again, I'm being hopeful that it won't be as bad as everybody's making it out to be. But you know, who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, right. Well, I think about your career, and we've talked before, and I've learned a lot about what you've done. I was telling these guys beforehand that you're Chicago true and true. I mean, to the point where we were talking about selling stuff outside of Wrigley Field, you know, like doing the vendor, being a vendor out there and trying to sell your wares. I mean, you have been a part of this city. Remind people who maybe not heard that before that, you know, that's how you got your start, just essentially selling T-shirts outside the Wrigley Field.
Yeah. So I went to UIC. I was a finance major at UIC. This is back in the day. What year was that? I'm gonna tell you, I don't care. It was 1989, 1990. So I was a finance major, but for those of you from Chicago, you remember the old Maxwell Street a few blocks away, not the new one, the old school Maxwell.
Oh yeah.
So I had an uncle that used to sell down there. He sold tools, which I'm not sure where he got them from, but he sold tools down at Maxwell Street. That was one of the staple things that folks sold down there. Anyway, I would go down there and hang out, and I met a guy who he sold T-shirts. And so I started buying it from this guy. He goes, "Oh, if you're in school, in college, you could sell to the college kids down the street." I'd buy these Bart. This was back when Bart Simpson just come out. And never forget, it was a shirt. It was a picture of Homer Simpson bent over. You can see his butt. It said "Crack Kills." That shirt made it paid
classic.
That shirt tuition, man. So I started buying these T-shirts and selling them over there. And Mike Stills on Wabash again. You know, Wabash was so different. Roosevelt was so different. Halsted was so different. And I started selling stuff. And I started selling the trains, and then I was selling peanuts, and I was selling stuff at the Cubs games on Chicago Avenue. Anyway, I graduated. I have a degree in finance, and I got my Series 7. I was doing securities and, you know, and bonds and all that stuff. And after 8 months, I hated it. I didn't like it. I'm like, okay, well, let me quit. I didn't have a job. So the only thing I knew how to do was sell stuff. So I went back to selling stuff. And so that was from like 1989 until 97 when I opened the store. I was a street vendor.
Well, that's what I love about your story is that it's true, not only True Blue Chicago, but I mean, when we hear all these stories of, you know, these asshole stories about, you know, businesses that are getting bailed out and, you know, that, well, and it's opposite of the American way. There's no bootstraps involved in half the companies that are getting bailed out right now. I think of yours, and I'm like, this is a perfect American story for a guy who started selling Homer Simpson T-shirts to having a block party that attracts, I don't know, what, thousands and thousands of people. How many? 50,000. Yeah. That's amazing to me. Yeah. Eric, where can we help? Are you doing anything online to help the Silver Room or the employees, or sure. What do you want our attention to be brought to?
Sure. So one thing is I love human connection, and it's been great, but in some ways it's kind of hurt me because I never really built a robust online store like I probably should have. I'm so focused on this in-store experience, you know. So we do have an online store. That's something I've been working on since I'm unemployed now. So you can go to silverroom.com. We can shop. We have tons of stuff online. You can buy stuff there. Also for our employees, we have a GoFundMe. It's the Silver Room. Actually, you can get it through our website. It's for the employees, man. They're out of work. You know, I've been helping them out as much as I can, but you know, luckily we have some great customers who know that this is not just, you know, it's not a store. It's beyond a store. This is a community. You know what I mean? You know the people. You come in, you say hi, and how's your mom doing? And you come in and have debates about, you know, football games and, you know, politics. You know what I mean? Like that to me is the essence of what a small business really is. That can't really be replaced, in my opinion, online workers. You know, it's the in-person thing. And you know, I was thinking about all the forecasts and what's going to happen, and you see people now are skeptical. You know, you walk around and like, this guy got COVID-19. You know, you sense that. You know, people are like afraid of one another, and then you, on top of that, wearing a mask is just this fear and anxiety on top of us not having good leadership. You know, from the White House, it just creates a whole nother. It's fear, man.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that once we come out of this, people will get back at some point when it's safe to close and wanting to talk. So anyway, but I think that's what the store really is about. It's about a community, and I can't wait to get back to that. But yes, meanwhile, you can go online, shop, GoFundMe for the employees. That would be fantastic.
Absolutely.
Hey, Eric,
Silverroom.com.
Eric, if you change your business name to Trump Hotel, you might get a government assistance. Just think about it.
Oh, Ruth Chris, they got 20.
Become a steakhouse, Eric. Come on now.
Yeah.
Eric Williams, the man, the Silver Room Block Party, one of Chicago's great small business owners. Eric, great to see you, man. Good to see your living room too. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
Hey,
Thanks, Eric.
it's good to see you. I've been following you for a long time. We've been friends for a long time. I love your work, and it's good to see you on here.
Good to see you, buddy. Thank you. Eric Williams, Silver Room.